Okay, we're going to get started. Thank you everyone for joining. Hello everyone and welcome to MedeAnalytics. My name is Greg Krantz and I'll be the moderator for today's session. Over the next 50 minutes or so, you'll be introduced to key members of our executive leadership team who will familiarize you with our company and vision. At the end, we'll have about 10 minutes to address any questions you may have. If you do have a question, please type it in the Q&A panel in the upper right-hand corner, and be sure to ask the question to all panel members. And we will get to as many as we can at the end of the session. For those questions that we don't get to, we'll be sure to reach out to you individually with an answer. I'd also like to mention that we will provide a PDF version of this presentation at the end of the session, so be on the watch for an email with links to the slides. Now it is my pleasure to introduce our speakers for today. So Paul Kaiser, Chief Executive Officer, Scott Hample, our Senior Vice President of Product and Strategy, and Kelly Kroliski, our Senior Vice President of Client Services. Now let's review the agenda for today. So Paul is going to give an introduction to MedeAnalytics and some background on the acquisition. Scott Hample is going to cover our vision, technology platform, and solution portfolio. Kelly Kroliski is going to discuss client services and cover Q&A. And now I'd like to turn things over to Paul Kaiser to get us started. Paul?
Great. Thank you, Greg. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining this session. By, I guess, way of introduction, a little bit about me, and really want to express how excited I am to get to meet each one of you personally at some point in our journey together. I think probably where I get the most fulfillment in my career and in my personal life is just spending time with people, getting to build relationships and get to know one another. So I've been in, my background, I've been in healthcare for a little over 15 years. I started my journey in healthcare. I moved out of the banking and finance world at UMB Bank in Kansas City, Missouri, to Cerner Corporation, where I spent about 7 years on the technology side of Cerner's portfolio business before having the opportunity to make a journey over to TriZetto out of Denver, Colorado, where I spent another 7 years, 3.5 of which I spent a tremendous amount of time on the payer side of TriZetto's business before coming back to my roots and leading the provider organization at TriZetto. As you may be aware, TriZetto was acquired by a large systems integration company called Cognizant in 2014, so part of my journey with TriZetto was also under the Cognizant brand. Joined MedeAnalytics about 10 months ago. Transparently, this is my first CEO role, which I'm very excited and feel very fortunate to have, and feel like I've surrounded myself with some great teammates who you'll meet on this call today. From a passion perspective, I did for a moment leave healthcare for about 3 months. And from like day one after leaving healthcare, regretted it and wanted to come right back. I think this is where it's at. I feel like there's, for me personally, a lot of fulfillment in trying to make an impact in something so meaningful that we all engage with in our personal lives. I've had plenty of engagement in the healthcare system, both personally as well as through my family members, and see the vast amounts of improvement that we can all come together and make, which is fulfilling. Like I said earlier, I really value relationships, which is a large reason that we're on this call. This was a result of us announcing our acquisition of the Compass business from advisory board back in January, and through some initial conversations, learning that not all of our joint clients with the advisory board actually understood who MedeAnalytics was or what we do or how we're part of the equation. And so we felt the need to start some more formal conversations and introductions to get to know one another and present ourselves to our client base. Outside of work, if I have a spare moment, I'm really spending it with my kids. I have 3 kids, 2 girls, 12 and 10. and the little boy who is 5, and pretty much every waking moment that I'm not working, I'm with those guys. From time to time, if I'm on the road and opportunity exists, I love a round of golf as well. Greg, you want to go to the next slide?
Yes.
You know, I think it should pause and try to sort of talk through what brought us to this call. As many of you were informed back in January, and since I think that our communication strategy has started to roll out, and there's been more formal communications with some of our people through the value managers and our account managers coming together from an ABC MedeAnalytics perspective, we announced that we were acquiring the Business Compass Analytics business from Advisory Board. That business was powered by MedeAnalytics behind the scenes for the entirety of its existence. We partnered from a go-to-market strategy with Advisory Board back in 2003 as we explored at that time different ways to create velocity around our go-to-market strategy. Advisory Board was a great fit. They've been an excellent partner, and we have really grown with Advisory Board over obviously a number of years. You know, but that wasn't the only area or only strategy that we employed to create velocity around our business. You know, today, if I were segmenting our business just to sort of educate a little bit about us, you know, the Advisory Board business represented about a little less than a third of our overall revenue. And so while it was a very important and strategic relationship that helped us grow, it wasn't our only avenue of growth. And we've enjoyed a tremendous amount of growth and great relationship directly with clients who are supported by our direct support model since we began the company 24 years ago. And so as we make this transition and clients who were previously supported by the Advisory Board begin to, you know, enjoy the support model that we employ into the market, we think there's a ton of commonality, so there'll be minimal disruption, if any at all. We feel like we have a solid plan, which Kelly's going to walk you through during this call, and you know, more than 70% of our revenue, you know, enjoys that engagement model today. So confident that we can do a great job, I think, is the short story, and really look forward to getting to know everyone on this call. You want to go to the next slide? In terms of our history, we've been around for 24 years, since 1994. We started as, our original name was MedeFinance, and our heritage was really around revenue cycle management analytics, your classic, you know, denials management and accounts receivable analytics to help clients make sure that they were collecting every hard-earned dollar that was out there. We have grown throughout the years, both within that particular segment, and we've also grown outside of that segment. Today we have, and Scott Hampel, who's on this call, Chief Product Officer, will go through that portfolio in more detail, but we service providers in ways that have grown within the revenue cycle management continuum, as well as outside the revenue cycle management continuum around value-based performance, cost and operations, enterprise performance management, and he'll review those things in detail. We pride ourselves on being a great place to work from an innovation perspective and an associate growth perspective. We invest heavily to ensure that our associates feel like this is going to be a solid place to start, grow, and take their careers to the next level. We recently reoriented our headquarters to Richardson, Texas. For the longest time, it had been Emeryville, California, which is across the Bay Bridge from San Francisco, and we have about 300 associates. Greg, you want to go to the next slide? In terms of the leadership team, so this represents the leadership team that reports to me here at MedeAnalytics. There's about 75 plus years of healthcare experience on this page, and that counts the 1 year of experience our CFO has, who came from the security industry. You know, so between Carrie, Kelly, Scott, Tyler, and myself, there's 75 strong years of experience there. Over time, you'll get to meet this team. Tyler has a very, very strong background in healthcare. Frankly, on the health system side, has worked at places like Allscripts, Siemens, was instrumental in getting Sorian to a level that Cerner was interested in acquiring the Siemens Sorian business. He ran operations at Cancer Centers of America for some period of time. He was instrumental helping Microsoft develop the Azure platform, and specifically the data analytics component of the Azure platform as he became, as leader of their Skype business, sort of the test bed to take Skype analytics, through the Azure platform and really exercise what they were doing there. He's a natural fit for what we're trying to accomplish here at MedeAnalytics. I'll let Scott introduce himself and Kelly introduce herself momentarily. And then Carrie came to us just recently from Cerner Corporation, has worked there for 15+ years, has a vast amount of health system, healthcare experience. Really proud of the team that we have here at MedeAnalytics. Greg, you want to go to the next slide? In terms of our size and scale, we have approximately 175 health system clients. When you segment those 175 clients into locations or facilities, you're talking about 1,500 plus providers and health plans served. From a scale perspective, from a technology platform perspective, we do data analysis around 3 billion unique encounters. 600 terabytes of data volume flow through our system on a routine basis. We have over 25,000 daily data feeds, and we are only focused on healthcare. I think when I think about the drivers of us having a desire to acquire the Business Compass Analytics business from ABC, where we are innovating today and the speed at which we're innovating, Scott will hit on this a little bit, we really wanted to have a better command and control of the distribution model of our software directly into our client base, and to influence and have a seat firsthand at the table around that engagement. And so we had a strong desire to improve our contact points throughout our client portfolio. And at the same time, as you guys, I assume, well know, Optum had announced and had acquired Advisory Board, and in speaking with Optum, there was just mutual interest in making this happen, and we are very, very excited about it. And I think the numbers here on the screen are really meant to just create some proof points around how we have scaled beyond just the Advisory Board book of business, and Scott will segue into how that's going to become meaningful to this group here on the phone from an innovation perspective. You want to go to the next slide?
Yep.
All right, I'm going to
Thank you, Paul.
hand it over to back to Greg, and he'll introduce Scott.
All right, thank you, Paul. Next, we're going to have Scott cover our vision, technology platform, and solution portfolio. Scott?
Great, thank you, Greg. First off, I just want to echo Paul's sentiment around how excited we are to be working with the folks that are here on the phone with us. So we're very excited about being able to continue the relationship and hopefully improve and extend on that relationship, with you folks. So, very excited about the possibilities here. So, a bit about me and my background. I am, I'm a product person. I have spent the majority of my career building product teams and working for product companies in both the software and technology space. So, Medi is been transforming and is really taking off in this hot analytics market as a product company. We have software as a service analytics product solutions, and I'm a firm believer that great product companies need to have great product organizations. in order to continue to drive innovation, to partner with clients and make sure that you guys are getting the capabilities from us that you want. So a big believer in that running product organizations is a real discipline. So I use frameworks like pragmatic marketing up there in the top right, and my product team and my product marketing team will be very engaged with you guys around understanding what you want to see in the products going forward, understanding what capabilities would really move the meter for you, and now with our direct relationship with you, I think we're going to have a lot more opportunity to collaborate directly with you and get some of those capabilities directly into the product. So excited about that potential. From a personal perspective, pretty much same story as Paul. Midwest family guy, and that is where my focus is when I am not working. So, next slide, Greg, please. Okay, so this slide here it's a little bit of an eye chart, I know, but it is important for you guys to understand because this is what the MedeAnalytics solution is. And this will also help you understand where we're going so that you can, understand that and, make decisions and determinations around how that aligns with where your own analytic strategies and revenue cycle strategies lie. So first off, just to explain what the MedeAnalytics solution is, we need to be good at 4 things at MedeAnalytics. So if you take this slide from the bottom up, the first thing, in order to be a great enterprise analytics solution for our clients, we have to be great at data orchestration. And so we have to be able to take in data from all sorts of different systems, whether it be enterprise data warehouses or EMR platforms or patient accounting platforms or payer core administrative systems, get it all in there, join it up together so that it's in a high-performing repository such that when analytics is applied against that data set, it's a meaningful data set. It's got years of data. It allows us to be able to see trends over time so that we can identify issues and take actions on those issues. So fortunately, this has been Mede's bread and butter for a long time. For the 20-plus years of Mede's existence, we've always really focused on building out data pipelines and using the most modern and robust technologies to do so. So you see some logos of different technology vendors that are a part of our data orchestration and platform stack. We're constantly using sort of the who's who of technology and constantly evaluating it. So, we're rigged into 3,000 different systems today. Data orchestration, that's a big part of what Mede delivers as an enterprise analytics solution. Secondly, once that data is in, we need to have a platform such that the analytics can be served up to our users with context. So we've invested a lot in having a common look and feel from a platform level, and as you guys know, when you go into our revenue optimization compass or revenue cycle compass, you need to be able to navigate and get through things and have a common look and feel so that you can understand how to use the technology and execute, against the issues that you're looking for. So we've invested a lot in that. There's also a lot of new capabilities in our latest versions that have a lot of much more dynamic visualizations and charting capabilities and things like that. So we're excited to be able to offer a lot of capabilities around that to you. Another area just to focus on is an area on the right called MedeElevate. This is new capability that probably for you folks on the phone, you don't have this capability yet. We're new. This is in the early innings, but this is a big part of our strategy, and we're doing proof of concepts with clients now with a ton of success. And this is around predictive analytics. We may have the best software solutions, and you may be like the best rev cycle users in the world, but there's still a sea of data out there that we've imported into the MedeAnalytics system, and by viewing dashboards and viewing reports and looking at alerts, we're going to miss things. And so what MedeElevate does is it uses machine learning, artificial intelligence, we can break down the buzzwords for you in a more detailed session, but basically what those things do is they comb through your data, identify issues, bring it then into our platform and to the user interface with context, with explanations on, we predict a denial here. Why do we predict that there will be a denial here? Where do people who want to learn more information, so we analyze the pathways and show you where people go when they want to resolve this or take action on this. More and more, we are looking at how this sort of capability can be used by you to help you take action on things that you may not even know are problems, and things that, aren't easily identifiable by looking at a dashboard or a report or things like that. So, from platform, we move on up to our SaaS healthcare products. And SaaS, I mean software as a service. So all of our products are being built such that they all connect into the platform. You have total data fidelity at the platform level, and each of the products solves different healthcare challenges. So you folks on the phone are really in our revenue cycle management arena, whether you have, the different Compass solutions, Rev Cycle or Rev Optimization or Patient Access. And we have a whole suite of solutions there, and I'll talk more about those. But we also are in other areas like cost and operations, value-based performance, and other areas as well. And so these software solutions come out of the box predefined with dashboards and reports around common use cases specific to each of these areas. And so we'll be excited to showcase the newest capabilities that we have in these solutions in the Rev Cycle arena for you. And then lastly, platform as a service, if you see that on the right. We have a new platform that at the second half of the year, July of 2018, we want to make available to our clients, or we use this on behalf of our clients to customize. And so we recognize that no matter how good our SaaS solutions are, there's going to be functionality that you want that is not in the product today. And while we will try to keep up with all the input from our users and get them into our roadmaps and be continually innovating the products, there might just be some functionality or some data that you want loaded that just isn't, something that's applicable to the broader market of Rev Cycle users. Well, we don't want to keep you from being able to build that. We want you to be able to build those customizations and take advantage of it. Every health system, and even on our other side of the business where we work with a lot of payers and things, everyone's going to have their customizations. We want those things to be built with total integration and interoperability with the SaaS products. And so what MedeWorks does is it allows for those customizations to be built with total interoperability with our products. So that's what the MedeAnalytics solution is, and that's where we're focusing our investment, is in these 4 arenas. Next slide, please, Greg. So from the SaaS product portfolio, like what are the healthcare products that MedeAnalytics has? As Paul pointed out, our legacy and what we grew up on 20 plus years ago has been in the revenue cycle management arena, and you folks have many of these products today. And so we have continued to invest. This is still a super important part of our overall portfolio, and there's a lot of new capabilities around denials, around accounts receivable management that we love to showcase for you and get you up on the latest version of this. In addition to that, we've expanded because of value-based care into other arenas like cost and operations. As health systems are looking at the different levels of risk that they're taking on, whether it be in contract with the payers or through ACOs or what it may be, we've gotten more and more demand for help us understand our profitability, our productivity, our throughput, things like that. And so we've developed a whole cost and operations suite. We've also invested a lot in value-based performance capabilities, so quality management and quality scoring and things like that for value-based contracting and provider performance management, or and performance management purposes, and then also population health and clinical quality sort of capabilities as well. Then lastly, we also have a solution around enterprise performance management. And what this is think about like every health system has like their top 5 objectives. But what's lacking out there in the marketplace is tying those objectives that you then cascade typically into your organization, from the executive team, into like the senior leadership levels, into the departmental levels, and so on and so forth. What's lacking as those things are cascaded is the linkage back to actual metrics that can be tracked ongoing to determine how are we performing against our objectives. Are we green? Are we yellow? Are we red? And if we're deviating from, if the metrics aren't aligning with, where we wanted to be from a performance, you can look into the analytics, determine root cause, and then take actions on it, assign that out to people. And so our performance management platform has like workflow capabilities. Anyway, that's our provider portfolio of solutions. We also have a lot on the payer side, and roughly 1/3 of our revenue is on the payer side as well. And these solutions are also another area of growth. And then more and more what we're finding at the bottom is enterprise analytics. More and more health systems, ACOs, IDNs are looking to buy a combination of these products, because what we found in the marketplace is just buying point solutions doesn't drive the ROI that these healthcare organizations are looking for. And so when you buy combinations of these things and you have it on the universal data fidelity that I talked about earlier, it can allow us to unlock additional capabilities. So I can combine cost, quality, and patient satisfaction data as an example, and provide insight into things like the triple aim and stuff like that. So more and more we're developing capabilities around the combinations of these solutions. So that's the product portfolio. Next slide, please, Greg. This is just a set of logos around some of our provider, partner, and payer clients and organizations that we work with. We're excited to work with you folks in a direct relationship now, on the provider side. In addition, I think it's really interesting for you guys to see what we're doing with payers and the different kinds of payers that we're working with as well. And then lastly, certainly in the partner aspect, Optum 360, R1, Conifer, you guys may have heard of these names because they're all major players in the revenue cycle space as well. And I think you'd be interested to know that these very large rev cycle and very sophisticated rev cycle services companies are actually using MedeAnalytics capabilities, MedeAnalytics products under the hood, and helping them to deliver superior rev cycle services to their client base. Next slide, please, Greg. And part of the reason that we are growing so much and being selected today is that we've hit a size and scale where we're a proven solution out there in the marketplace. And we recently commissioned a ROI study that we had an outside consulting firm do 6 months ago. And they came back and studied 45 different clients and came back and reported to us ROI from these 45 different clients. And it was fabulous. We were able to aggregate a whole repository of different metrics. And so, these are some samples that have come from that independent study. If you look at the first one, that's a population health metric around the decrease in heart failure readmission. Quality ratings is from the quality product, cost savings, in cost and operations, and so on and so forth. There's AR reduction in 4 months. That's a rev cycle scenario. So anyway, I won't go on, but you see on this slide, and then Greg, if you go to the next slide, a various set of metrics. And so we would be very excited to partner with you guys and evaluate the solutions you're on today, help you think about how you could maximize ROI on those solutions, maybe take a look at some of our newest capabilities in these solutions and figure out how they could help power additional ROI for you. So that's something that we'd be very excited to undertake and do in partnership with you. Next slide, please.
All right. Thank you, Scott. Next, we're going to have Kelly talk about client services. Kelly?
Hello, everyone. My name is Kelly Kurliski, and I'm our Senior Vice President of Client Services. I want to say first and foremost that I'm very much looking forward to working with you and getting to know each of you. I'm on the road visiting clients almost every single week, and it is the most cherished part of my job by far. A little quick background on me. I have been in healthcare for about 15 years, having previously worked for companies such as Stockamp & Associates, Huron Healthcare, and PricewaterhouseCoopers, and I have been at MedeAnalytics for 8 of those years. I have always been on the client delivery side, whether that be in project management, advisory services, or account management. I live in Los Angeles, and I come from a family of healthcare professionals. My father was a physician, my mother is a social worker, my sister is a nurse, my brother-in-law is a surgeon, and the list goes on. So the healthcare industry is a definite passion for me and for my entire family. And in my personal life, I love to travel. My husband and I have been all over the world together. I love to ski, and then going back to the travel, I'm also a grade A sleeper on airplanes, which is a rare but definitely coveted talent. Next slide, Greg. I also wanted to tell you a little bit about my wonderful team and the team of people you will come to know over the next year. Shown on the slide are just a few of the individuals who you will soon meet. The team is staffed by all healthcare and revenue cycle professionals, coming from companies such as R1, formerly known as Accretive, MedeAnalytics, Iowa Health, Vanderbilt University, and others. Next slide, Greg. The MedeAnalytics support model is very similar to what you have experienced with the advisory board company. We have a client strategy team, which is very similar to the value management team you work with today at ABC. You will be assigned an account manager from the client strategy team who will be your primary point of contact and will work to establish regular phone calls and on-site visits with you. The manager reports to a director and then vice president, who you will also be introduced to, who are responsible for ensuring you are receiving value out of your solution and you are satisfied with your overall relationship with MedeAnalytics. And in addition to the client strategy team, we have a help desk, which is depicted on the far right of this slide. This is our client support department who will assist with any level 1 support questions you have, and this service is available 24/7. Then, slightly different from ABC, you will also be assigned a client analyst. The client analyst will be a person that you'll know, will come on site, and will assist you with any more complex technical questions, as well as will help you to submit any change requests to our engineering department. Lastly, I want to point out that we also have a separate department for implementations, and I know that many of you are in implementations today. This department is called Enterprise Delivery, and it is responsible for the project management of all implementations, whether it be a brand new relationship or the expansion of an existing relationship. Next slide, Greg. In terms of the transition plan, when it comes to transitioning your support to MedeAnalytics from the advisory board company, I want to first remind everyone that your technology and for your technology and your solution, nothing will be transitioning. You will continue to log into your solution in the future, just as you do today, as Medi has always been the technology provider of the revenue cycle Compass solutions. What we will be transitioning is a team of individuals who support those solutions for you. And this transition will take place in waves throughout the course of 2018. When your wave first kicks off, your ABC Value Manager will notify you that the transition is upcoming and the date that it will begin. You will receive a welcome packet from MedeAnalytics in the mail. This welcome packet will contain additional information on MedeAnalytics as a company, as well as what you can expect from the transition. Next, a member of the MedeAnalytics client strategy team will begin to participate in your already occurring phone calls and meetings with the advisory board company. From here, MedeAnalytics will work hand in hand with ABC to transition your services over time so that the transition is as seamless to you as possible. Our goal is always to provide the best service to you, and we will work hard alongside with the advisory board company to ensure that you are taken care of as we go through this change. Next slide, Greg. I wanted to take a moment to just go over a few additional resources that you'll have access to that are in addition to your client strategy team. The first is we offer a client innovation exchange. This exchange is where you can connect with peers as well as Medi subject matter experts to understand how others are using and taking advantage of product features and to share your thoughts on future roadmap items. Second, we send regular customer satisfaction surveys every quarter that everyone is encouraged to participate in. It's obviously our goal to hear your feedback so that we can constantly be improving. Third, we also distribute emails containing newsletters as well as information on upcoming webinars. Now, all of this information and more can be found on our welcome page, and the link there is shown at the bottom of your screen. Next slide, Greg. We'll now move into questions and answers to ensure that you get an opportunity to ask about anything we have not yet answered today. I will first take the opportunity to answer some common questions we have received thus far from you and your peers. While I talk through these, please don't hesitate to submit additional questions via the Q&A functionality on the WebEx. You can access the Q&A panel in the upper right portion of your screen. Please ensure that you submit your question to all panelists. There's a drop-down there where you'll select all panelists prior to submitting your question. Please go ahead and start submitting your questions now, and while you're doing that, I'm going to just review some common questions we've received thus far. The first question is, does MedeAnalytics have revenue cycle expertise? And the answer is yes. MedeAnalytics is a developer of the revenue cycle analytics solutions that were previously resold through the advisory board company under the name Compass. While the company got its start in delivering analytics for the revenue cycle, we now also offer clients access to financial, clinical, and operational insights with solutions for cost and operations, value-based performance, and enterprise performance management, as Scott reviewed with you earlier. Furthermore, as I previously mentioned, our Medi team comes from decades of healthcare experience and has backgrounds from well-known healthcare organizations. The second question is, what happens with my data? We want to reassure everyone that your data is safe. MedeAnalytics is already the technology provider entrusted with your protected health information. Medi is covered under your existing master services agreement and business associate agreements with the advisory board company. Your data will remain where it exists today, and you will, for the most part, continue to send your data files in the exact same manner as you always have. The third question is, what happens with any current conversations with the advisory board company on renewal, expansion, or implementation? Those renewal and expansion conversations will continue without disruption. You'll notice that MedeAnalytics team members will begin to join those renewal or expansion conversations alongside with the advisory board company to offer the appropriate support as needed. And the advisory board company will continue to support existing implementations. If any outstanding implementation work remains after the completion of the transition, the MedeAnalytics team will work closely with you as well as ABC to fulfill these services. And the last common question that we've received is, what happens to my invoicing? For the foreseeable future, you will continue to receive invoices and remit payment to ABC just as you do today. And then at some point this year, the MedeAnalytics finance team will work with your accounts payable department as well as ABC to transition this activity to Medi. Your invoicing and fee schedules will remain unchanged and will reflect what your contractual arrangement is with ABC. At this point, I want to reintroduce our CEO, Paul Kaiser. Paul will take the opportunity to answer any additional questions received during the course of this webinar. As a reminder, you can access the Q&A panel in the upper right portion of your screen. Please ensure that you submit your questions to all panelists. Paul?
Thank you, Kelly. It looks like so far we've only had one question submitted. The question, and I may not fully understand what's being asked, but is ESMD available for Meditech platform? I will defer to Scott and Kelly to some extent. I will tell you this, and I'm not sure my answer is going to answer the question specifically. From a market segmentation perspective, when we look at our 175 health system clients, we pretty much mirror how the market is segmented relative to their adoption of a Cerner platform, a Meditech platform, an Allscripts platform, an Epic platform, et cetera. So if you think about how that market is segmented, we're segmented very similarly, and we intake data from all of those different systems. And so I'm not sure if that answers the question, and the part of the question that I'm unsure about is the ESMD piece. I'm not sure I understand what that is. I can tell you from a MedeAnalytics perspective, we do business in such a way that we intake data from all kinds of platforms, including Meditech. Scott or Kelly, do you understand that question better than I do?
I understand it better, but I don't know that I'm going to be able to answer it, Paul. We'll have to probably get back to this person. But we're talking about the electronic submission of medical documentation. It's the ESMD program, which is like a CMS program, and I do know that that's something that we've been that we're looking at. I don't know exactly if we already handle the functionality that's required as part of that, or if that is you know, something that that would be contemplated for the future. So we'll get with our, unless you know the answer to this, I would say, we'll get with our product manager and get an answer out to the attendees.
Okay, Scott, I'm going to let you handle the next one. It's, will Medi be offering the research and best practices that are available to us now that is part of the membership with ABC? And I'll lead into this. So it is part of our work with ABC to understand in the go-to-market strategy under the ABC program, are there any nuanced differences between how we have gone to market directly versus how ABC has gone to market? And generally speaking, with a broad brush, really the answer is no. This happens to be an area where core and very important and valuable to the ABC go-to-market strategy and business, what they do is their research and best practices. We plan to replicate a lot of what ABC was doing specific to our platform, the revenue cycle management business, and creating the community and the exchange of these best practices, within our own base. And so I think just broadly the answer is yes, we may have our own flavor of this, but I'll let Scott answer the rest of that if you want to add to it, Scott.
Yeah, so we certainly will have our own flavor of it. So we regularly provide webinars on different rev cycle topics. We will continue to, provide those webinars around, rev cycle best practice topics of interest. I think we're looking at programs where you can, earn, I think they're called like CEU credits and things of that nature. And so, so that's absolutely part of the program. As far as, and that's the extent that I know of the program. I'm not sure the nature of the ABC research itself, and I think that might be part of the question as well. So Kelly or Paul, if you can chime in on that, that's the one I don't know.
I can chime in. I think that you covered it, Scott. So to be clear, I believe that the ABC members are probably familiar with a department called Cohort Services. MedeAnalytics absolutely does provide those same services when it comes to webinars, newsletters, a user community, and exchange. I see that there's a question that do we offer conferences? Conferences is something that we do offer. We are in the middle of exploring when we will be appropriate time to host the next one, given obviously the new members and all of you that we'll now be working with. In terms of ABC's, research arm, that is a service, as Paul mentioned, that we do not provide. So I believe that fully answers the question.
Okay. Are there, looks like we've reached the end of our questions. Paul, Kelly, Scott, unless there's something additional you'd like to offer, I'll go to the next slide, but I'll leave a minute here just in case you want to add anything else. Otherwise, I'll move to the next slide. Okay.
Yeah, this is Paul. This is Paul. Greg, I'll add. So it goes without saying that we couldn't be more excited, as the team has emphasized here, to be beginning some direct relationship with our client base. And I myself spend a tremendous amount of time on the road in front of clients, strategizing and understanding through those conversations the collective needs of our clients. It really influences how we think about our investment strategy, et cetera. Look forward, obviously, to meeting each one of you in person at some point. And as you potentially consume the information that and process the information that we've presented on this call, if you do think of questions post-call, you can always take those questions to your current advisory board value management representative, who is plugged in now to Kelly's team, who's been on this call presenting, and we will close the loop and making sure that specific questions that people may think of post-call get answered, for sure.
All right, thank you, Paul. And we've reached the end of the session, and we really appreciate all the questions. And thank you, Kelly and Paul and Scott, for providing your insights. And like Paul said, if you have any other questions about the information discussed today, please feel free to reach out to your ABC Value Manager. We'll also be sending out a PDF version of the webinar slides from today, so please look out for an email soon. And also look forward to our next session, April 10th, where our CTO, Tyler Downs, is going to present the latest developments in our technology and expand on some of the points that Scott has made around our platform. So this brings us to the end of our session. Thank you for joining us today. Have a great day.